There are many situations where you have to understand what is going on in a PLC program very quickly. Perhaps you are on a site and trying to troubleshoot a system, or maybe you've been assigned to a project where the base of the PLC program have been developed by someone else within your team or someone else from another company, or maybe the PLC program already exists for years and you are trying to upgrade that system. In a traditional way, you just open your PLC program and trying to understand different functions, function blocks, data block, user-defined data type, and so on within your PLC program. But come on, we are in 2023. We need more advanced tools and technologies to help us understand a PLC program easier in a shorter period of time. But if you are working on Siemens PLCs and your program is written in the TI Portal software, I have a great news for you. Siemens recently released a tool called SIMATIC Project Insight to overcome this difficulty. In the next few minutes, I'll explain what is Project Insight and why you need it and why you shouldn't miss this opportunity to use this free software. So without further ado, let's get started. SIMATIC Project Insight is a standalone application where you have to install it on a machine that TI Portal is already installed. You can find the download link by searching in any search engine or by clicking on the link that I will put it somewhere below. Once you install SIMATIC Project Insight on the machine, you can open your TI Portal project in the SIMATIC Project Insight software, and then it analyzes your project and it will give you a lot of useful insight that helps you understand the project very quickly. It is important to note at the moment SIMATIC Project Insight is available only for projects that have been developed in TI Portal version 14 Service Pack 1, version 16, 17 or version 18. So once you are in the download page, you can scroll down. There is a short video that explains what's going on, but if you watch this video, you can skip this because I'll show you how to use it more in depth. And also there is a PDF explaining different features and the mode of the operation of the software. I totally recommend to download both the software and also the instruction as a PDF file. To show you how to use SIMATIC Project Insight and how to take advantage of this great tool, I created a very typical and sample project in TI Portal where I only have one PLC, and I added some random function and function blocks as you see under the program blocks folder. So I have 5 FCs and I have 5 FBs, and plus an additional FB6, which is a function block written in graph language. In addition, I also have some PLC data types or user-defined data type where I define my own data type. As you can see, I have 4 different data types: user-defined data type or UDT, machine, motor, sensor, and SIG flow. So the way it works, I have these 2 basic UDTs, motor and sensors, and in the machine I'm using these UDTs. In other words, I use a nested UDT feature in the TI Portal. As you see in the machine, I use a motor and also a sensor. And as you can see, a motor consists of a start, a stop, a command, and feedback for frequency and the speed. And also sensor, I just randomly pick a few sensors, doesn't really matter. Again, I just want to show you how the Project Insight works. And maybe I just quickly show you what's going on in my graph. So as you can see, my graph function block is also very simple, consists of a few transitions and also a few steps. This can be way more complex. There is really no known limit at the moment, but just to know, we just kept it simple so you can understand what is going on in the Project Insight. And if we just open one of the functions, for example the FC1, I just added in the FC1, I'm calling FC2, and in FC2 I'm calling FC5. So what I'm trying to do in this sample project, just making some relationship between different components, and then in the Project Insight we want to see them visually. We don't have to go through all of this manually. So that's it for my PLC project. Again, it can be very complex, too many function blocks, UDTs, functions, data block, and so on. So here is the fun part. After you downloaded the SIMATIC project inside software for free and you install it next to your TIA Portal software on a VM or just on the host on any laptop or personal computer, that's the user interface that you will see after opening the software. It's very simple to use. There is no rocket science here, but there is some rocket science going on behind the scene. So the first thing, and one of the important things of course that you need to do, you just select your TIA Portal project to extract all the information from it. So here I have this typical sample project that I showed you. I just select open. Make sure you check this check mark, include know-how protected blocks also. Otherwise, sometimes it throws some error. And all I need to do is just start extraction. And as you see on the logs on the right side, it's trying to extract all the information from my TIA Portal. This might take a few seconds or maybe a few minutes based on the performance of your machine. But once it's done, you can go to the next step that I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, the extraction phase is done. As you can see, you can go through the logs. First of all, it's trying to open the TIA Portal. Behind the scene, this is using the TIA openness, and then it's fetching the project data, is extracting the different UDTs, tag table, my function blocks, and every information that is available in my project have been imported into software. So the next step, once we extracted all this information, you will see a project name under here, and then you have this button Start Analysis. If you have more project, you can just select different one from the list, but once you extract it once, you can just select it from the list and hit the Start Analysis button from the bottom. So once you hit the Start Analysis button, you will get this user interface where you have 8 different options to get some graphical information about your project. First, and one of the most important one, is call structure. This feature gives you a graphical view of different calls from different function blocks, functions, and maybe organization blocks. Overall, it shows you how different function blocks and basically data blocks and different components in your software are called. For example, here, as you can see, from function block 3, I've called function block 4. And as we saw, in the main, I have function block 1, FC1, FC3, and also from FC1, I call FC2, and from FC2, I call FC5, and so on. You get the idea. This is very handy when your project is very complex. Believe me, it will save you a ton of time, especially when you're on site and you just want to quickly understand what is going on in the project. Of course, you have cross-reference and so on and in your hand to track where these signals go, but definitely having this graphical view is very helpful most of the time. The next feature is called Sequence Analytics. Sequence Analytics is basically a textual representation of your graph. So if you go over down here, I have one graph or graph function block. And as you can see, I can quickly get to know what are my steps and transitions. And I don't have anything in my steps, otherwise it will show here. But as you see, my transition 1 is connected to this tag or this signal, which is in the DB1, machine 1, motor, and start. So that's my transition 1. And as you can see, you can quickly see what is going on in your graph. Imagine you have a huge graph and you just want to see everything in one page. That's the place you go. The next feature is UDT dependencies. UDT dependencies helps you understand how different UDTs are connected together. Once you open that section, you can just enter a UDT name, or if you just click, it will automatically show you different names of the UDT. For example, I just select the machine and I know that machine is using sensors and motor UDTs. So let's see how it shows over here. Okay, as you can see here, there is another graphical view of my UDTs. So basically, my UDT called machine depends on the motor and also on the sensor UDT, which I just explained. And then not only show the dependencies between my UDT, it also shows dependencies between the UDT instances. For example, I use my UDT in 2 different functions or function blocks. One of them is called FB graph and FC4, a function 4. So it shows me that data points read from these tags, and also these tags are used in different functions and function blocks and so on. Same applies to the right, so it shows me where all this utility has been used. Basically, it's very useful, and make sure you take advantage of this, and it helps you understand what is going on in your utilities. Another useful feature is project structure. Once you click on the project structure, it exports you a JSON file which contains all the information about your project. Let's open the JSON file and see what is going on in the file. So I'm just using Notepad++. I just use a JSON viewer plugin to see what is going on in this JSON file. As you see here, for sure, there are some metadata at the top of the JSON file. Shows me what is the version, what's the format, or schemas, and so on. And it shows me what is the connection. I only have one PLC, and what is the IP address, what are different data types in this project, and all of the information about your project exists as a JSON file. This is very helpful nowadays because we are in the era of IoT and Industry 4.0. You can interact with this file and perhaps export this to your IT, where you apply more advanced analytics on the project structure. You can optimize your project and so on. That's the file you can get from your project structure. Another function in the SIMATIC project Insight is global object dependencies. So here you can find kind of the same thing for the utilities, but for the data blocks to understand how different entities or entries in the data block have been used in different functions and different areas in your project. For example, here I know that on my DB1, I have this entry or item in my DB1, and then here, just quickly looking at this graph, I can understand that FC4 is writing to this tag in my DB1. Likewise, from the FB graph, I know that I'm reading this sensor value from DB1 and so on. So imagine if you have a very large project, you can just zoom out and you can see all this information in just one page. Next feature is called unit relation. I don't have any software unit defined in my TIA Portal project. That's why it's empty right now. But similar application dependencies between different units. If you don't know, Siemens PLCs are capable of dividing different programming into software units. That's a different topic I explain in maybe one of the next videos. Another function is signal flow. When you have a project or program that the output of one function block is cascaded to the next function block or function and so on, it's easy to monitor them as a graph over here in a signal flow. Basically, as you can see here, I'm calling function block 1 from main OB and also FB2 from FB1 and so on. Last and one of the most important feature of this software is Query Builder. This is one of my favorite ones. So what you can do with this is just a SQL query that you can send to this software, and then it returns the values for you. For example, let's say I want to see what are all the functions exist in this project. I just write a SQL query and I'll hit the play and let's see the return. So I just write select all from. As you see here, you have a guide, so I want all FCs. And as you can see, it shows me what are different functions in my project. And the data type, of course, my functions are just void. It could be any double or real and so on. And where are the addresses, and is there any comment in the function, and so on. This is very useful. And keep in mind, this is just a demo version. It's just version 1. Imagine what's going to come into the market in next 10 years, 5 years, or maybe 2 years later. You'll get this software very more advanced. So here you have it. That's all for today's video. As you saw, you can analyze your TIA Portal software using the SIMATIC project Insights, which you can use free of charge at the moment. There is no license defined, so feel free to use it, download it, and share it with your friend. And other colleagues. Let me know if you have any question, if I missed any part, you want to know more information about any part, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Until the next time, have a great day.